Have you ever heard those stories about aspiring digital nomads who booked a one-way ticket to Thailand only to come back empty-handed a few months later? If you're planning to slow travel the world as a digital nomad or roving retiree, then you know you need money. The question is, how much? Well, in this video, I'll be sharing with you exactly how to estimate how much money you'll need for your move, plus the cost of living once you get to your destination. And at the end of this video, I'll also share how you can download my Digital Nomad Moving Abroad budget absolutely free, so you don't have to borrow money for a plane ticket back home.
And I'll show how you can manage all of this using a free online account with Wise.
Now, when you're planning a move abroad or a slow travel journey, there are really 3 different types of budgets that you need to make. The first one is your pre-departure budget. So this are all of the expenses that you'll incur and also income that you might receive when you are planning to move. The next one is your cost of living budget. So this is going to be based on the average cost of living in your destination, depending on how long you're going to be there. And if you're a digital nomad or you're going to be working remotely, then you also want to take into consideration your ongoing monthly business expenses, which would be in your third budget. So let's start with your pre-departure budget. This is going to have all of the expenses that you'll incur before you leave home. So this could be something like putting your stuff in storage, a fee in case you have to break your lease, or one-time fees like a residency or visa application. But at this stage of your planning, you'll also want to calculate how much money you'll make and how much money you'll save by making this move. So this can come from one-time windfalls. For example, if you sell your house, sell your car, sell your stuff, put it on eBay, Facebook Marketplace, and also the different ways that you'll save money. So monthly expenses that you'll be cutting back on. Maybe you'll be canceling certain subscriptions that you don't need anymore, or lowering your utility bill and internet bill. You want to make a list of all of the things that you're paying for now, and also the things that you can cut if you become a digital nomad or roving retiree. When I was first deciding whether to stay in Orlando, where I went to university, or take a job in Costa Rica, I crunched the numbers. I looked at my starting salary with a corporation in Orlando, and then I looked at how much less I would be making in Costa Rica. And I actually figured out that I would have a higher quality of life if I went to Costa Rica, despite earning less money. So this is something you want to take a really careful look at the beginning to even decide if this type of lifestyle is for you, because in many cases, you might be able to have a better quality of life with half the cost or less. Over the years, I've been to more than 60 countries, so there have been times when my monthly cost of living was much higher than it would be had I stayed in the United States. And there's also been times where it's been much less. So if you're going to more expensive cities like Paris or Sydney, Australia, anywhere in Switzerland, then your expenses could be a lot higher. But if you're going to places like Southeast Asia, Eastern Europe, Latin America, then your expenses could be much lower. And a little bit later in this video, I'll show you exactly how to find out what that will be. So here you can see some of the expenses and also potential sources of income that you could realize as you're planning your relocation abroad. And again, I'll tell you how you can download this for free. But another thing to think about when you are leaving home is what to do with your bank account. We're talking about money here and how to save it when you're traveling the world full time. And a lot of this has to do with how you can access and manage your money. Will you keep it? Will you close it? Will you open a new account or maybe multiple accounts? And one thing I've been recommending to my clients for many years is to open a Wise account in addition to keeping 1 or 2 of your home country bank accounts. Now, Wise is the sponsor of this video, but it's a company that I've been a customer of since at least 2012, and I've saved hundreds, if not thousands of dollars on international transfer fees, foreign exchange fees, and also ATM withdrawal fees. So it's something that I recommend to all of my clients, regardless of where you live in the world. It's free to open an account. You can use the link below this video. Wise is an international multi-currency account that lets you manage your money across borders. You can send, spend, and receive money in more than 40 currencies around the world. So let's say you live in the United States, but you're planning on moving to Spain someday. How are you going to pay your rent there? How are you going to receive your monthly salary or pension? That's where Wise can help. You can actually take out your phone right now while you're watching this video and open an account in Euro in just a few minutes. With just a few taps in the app, you can add money from your US bank account. You can choose Apple Pay, your debit card, credit card, or a bank transfer. So let's say you found a property that you want to rent in Spain and you're sending money as a security deposit to secure it. Directly from the app, you can just convert some money from US dollars to Euro and send it on its way. Many transfers are delivered in less than 20 seconds. And through this process, you can decide which method you'd like to use for your transfer. And also you can see the price transparently upfront. And you can also check this on the Wise website. So it could cost only $3 or $4, maybe $7, $10, compared to the $25 to $50 that it could cost you if you use a traditional bank when you factor in the outgoing wire fees, the incoming wire fees, and also the markup on the exchange rate. Over half of the transfers on Wise arrive in less than 20 seconds. And if you want to schedule a transfer for the future, you can also do that as well. What I love about Wise is that they use the real mid-market exchange rate and they don't mark it up or add any fees. So the same rate that you find online on Google is what you will be able to use in the app. Another thing you'll want to do if you're opening a Wise account is request your debit card to be sent to you in the mail. So this is available for residents of the European Economic Area, the US, Canada, Australia, New Zealand, as well as the Philippines, Singapore, Switzerland, and the UK. With a Wise debit card, you don't have to worry about foreign transaction fees. You can shop directly in local shops or online using the local currency and paying a fair exchange rate. With the Wise card, you also get 2 free ATM withdrawals per month, and you can check your balance and change your PIN through the app or at the ATM. So I mentioned this now because it's always easier to open new online accounts or receive your debit card in the mail before you start traveling. But here you can see some of the most common expenses that are in your pre-departure budget, as well as ways that you might be able to earn extra income and save money before you leave. And you can download this spreadsheet in the description below. I've been using Wise for my personal life since at least 2012, but they also offer business accounts as well. And I have one of each. So if you want to know more about the perks of having a Wise business account and how to use it, then drop a comment below. Next, it's time to calculate how much your monthly cost of living will be in your new destination. And I find that the easiest way to do this is just to take account of all the expenses that you currently have right now and then find the equivalent expense in your destination. So you can compare your rent or mortgage, what you're paying now, to what you will be paying in your new country. And you can do the same for your utilities, your weekly food expenses, transportation, insurance, and more. For example, an Uber from my house currently to the airport in Miami is around $35 to $50, depending on the traffic. But if you check online, you can get an Uber fare estimate, and you can see in Buenos Aires from the Palermo Hollywood neighborhood to the airport there, it's about the same distance for $20 to $25. So you want to do this comparison for each of the main types of expenses that you'll have, and you can get a really good idea of how much your cost of living will be when you get there so you don't run out of money. This is where having a Wise account comes in really handy because you can decide to hold your money in the currency that you choose, whether that's pounds or dollars or yen or anything else, and you get to decide when and where you're going to exchange your currency into the local currency. And this is especially important in places like Argentina or anywhere that the currency is unstable or maybe there's inflation. You can decide when you're going to be withdrawing money at the ATM and converting it at the exchange rate that day, or even when you use your debit card to make a point of sale purchase, you're deciding whether online or in person when you're going to be converting that money from euro to pesos, for example. On this screen, you can see a list of common expenses to include in your cost of living abroad budget, such as housing, transportation, food, entertainment, healthcare, and more. You can use free sites like Nomad List, Numbeo, and Expatistan to be able to estimate the cost of living in the country that you're going to. I like Nomad List because it shows different monthly costs of living depending on your lifestyle. So there's a separate cost of living for your nomad cost, which is going to be higher than your expat cost if you're going to be staying there longer. It's also going to be higher than your local cost of living, but it might be lower than your cost of living as a family. So if you're going to be staying somewhere for 1 to 3 months, then you can look to that nomad cost of living to be pretty accurate, because you're going to be paying a little bit of a premium on short-term housing and other types of expenses. Maybe you're planning to eat out more compared to if you're staying somewhere long-term, 6 months, 1 year or more. And then of course, if you are local, you decide to move there, live there forever, you can lower your costs even more. So I like to look at Nomad List, but you can also check Numbeo and Expatistan, and you can get an itemized list of what things cost. So let's see here. You can see how much a meal costs in the destination, and you can compare between the 3 websites. You can see how much data costs for your cell phone, and you can see average prices for housing, which is really helpful. And you can also change the currency so that it makes sense for you. Keep in mind that as a nomad or a roving retiree, every time you change destinations, you will also have a few of those startup costs from the pre-departure budget. So this can be typically things like a plane ticket or a train ticket, extra luggage fees, any of those kind of one-time expenses that are what I like to call digital nomad setup fees or change fees. Anytime you change a location, you'll have to pay to get to that location, maybe pay extra rates, security deposits, things like that, that you wouldn't incur if you were staying somewhere long-term. So you'll want to be always drawing from both your cost of living budget as well as your startup pre-departure budget, depending on how many times you're changing destinations. Your next set of costs to keep in mind are going to be your business expenses if you're going to be freelancing online or working remotely or running your own online business. Now, these can be pretty similar to what your expenses are back home, but there are a few areas that will definitely be different. So the first most standard expenses that you'll want to think about are your online monthly and annual subscriptions. So this can be things like your email marketing, your CRM system, your web hosting, any types of creative apps that you have, maybe Adobe Creative Cloud, cloud storage. So anything digital that you need online to run your business, those are probably going to stay pretty much the same. Then you want to look at your human resources costs. So any types of virtual assistants, freelancers, or contractors that you're hiring to help you do your job. And you'll want to be able to pay them from anywhere around the world as well, which you can also do through the Wise app. And then when you are traveling full time, your budget for learning could be a lot different. So let's say you take online courses, and as you're working while traveling, you really want to learn new skills. You could have more expenses in this area. Also potentially more networking events, because as a digital nomad, you might want to get out there and meet people and go to more in-person events, as well as conferences and events that you hear about that you want to go to. And then also you may have more in-person expenses. So you might spend more days working at coffee shops. You might get an extra co-working membership or even rent a private office. So you'll want to take that into account as well. You can also easily pay your contractors and employees around the world using your Wise business account. You can save a lot of money on transfer fees this way. And if you're sending money to somebody who already has a Wise account, all you have to do is put in their email address, and it's really cheap and fast. You can also receive money this way. So if you are invoicing people and receiving payments for something, it works both ways. Use the link below this video to open a Wise account for free right now, and you can get your first international transfer up to 500 British pounds or your currency's equivalent absolutely free. Thanks again to Wise for sponsoring this video. And if you want to know more ways that you can save money with Wise, watch this video next. Subscribe if you're new here. And here are a few more business expenses to consider for your nomadic lifestyle.